What's up, LA? Welcome to the Cent Sesh, a podcast where everybody gets a voice. Everybody gets the 2 cents in. My name is Miguel Munoz. I'm 15. I'm trying to make a living off rapping. To my left is...
My name's Irving Hernandez, and I'm 19, and I'm going to college to become a computer scientist.
Hi, my name is Sandra Fernandez. I'm 24 years old, and my goal is to eventually become a publisher, illustrator, and writer. And to my left is...
Hello, my name's Jesus. I am an audio engineer with a bachelor's degree. I am trying to get my voice heard, be the voice of the voiceless. And right now, this whole podcast will be discussing different subjects, topics, and since these might be difficult topics to discuss, we will be doing this type of podcast in a style of a talking circle. For those who don't know what a talking circle is, it's just a passing around a talking stick to give others time and respect to express their different opinions. So today's topic is community, and the first question is, what does community mean to you?
Well, community to me, when I picture it in my head, is like a nice place where people are having fun. Well, just basically where everybody gets along, like there's no problems. That'll be all, like, for me, that I know of.
Yeah, for me, a community is just like a group of people who are just like, whenever there's a problem, they always hash things out. They talk about it. They, I guess they just help each other out, you know.
To me, when I first think of community, I think of organizing, working together as a team, working in a team-based system that functions in a healthy way, and everybody is involved and seen equally.
So for me, I would say community is just like, it's just like I would see it like a small town with like happiness around, like everyone gets along, stuff like that. Everyone obviously has their own view about it, but I feel like overall it's just like people getting along, people helping one another out. There's like no bad blood or anything. It's just pure, like I said, pure happiness. And I would say I also like mutual respect. Like one would respect the other person's time, space, no interfering, nothing like that. So what would be some good things happening about your community?
Some good and bad things that are happening in my community are, there's just the bad things. Here go the first. The bad things are that there's lots of drugs in there. There's kids in the streets playing, and they're just like doing drugs in the sidewalks, wherever. They don't care. And the good thing is that the kids don't do it. That's one of the goodest things, like probably for all of you guys that are hearing this. And that's all.
All right, for me, I think that just people just don't get along, because I live in an apartment and like all of the neighbors just hate each other, and I guess nobody ever tries to resolve the problem.
For me, the bad things that I've experienced is a lot of discrimination. There's a lot of hate in a lot of communities. A lot of communities are segregated, and gentrification is a really big one. And I've experienced gentrification. I'm experiencing it now with my mother and my brother. We're currently all living together, and it's a real big problem. And the company I work for currently is gentrifying a big building where there's people of color, poor people are getting kicked out forcefully, because they can't afford the rent anymore. And I feel like that's just a few things, a few bad things that are going on in our communities here in LA.
So for me, I mean, the bad things, it's just like I said, the way I describe community, for me, the bad things would be that people don't have respect. They don't care for anything. They just do what they want to do. They just want to be like rebels. The good things would be that there are good people. They go out of their own time and help out people in need. I feel the bad things, like Miguel just said, that are happening. Like there'll be kids doing drugs in the sidewalk, people doing drugs in the sidewalk. There's like a lot of violence out, and there's no one to put a stop to it. There's no one saying we should do something about it. They just want to leave it. Family will be passing by. They'll be like, you know what? Don't get near them. They're bad influence or something. Those will be kind of like the bad things. Like we're not. It's hard. Some people be like, for them it'll be hard to reflect the good thing. They wouldn't want to take part of it. They don't want to be part of it. They just want to be in their own little box and just stay there. And like I said, they rather just worry about themselves, their kids, their family, and if it's anything outside, they don't even want to pay attention to it. So like the stories people have would be that they all have their own story that is kind of the same thing but in a different level. Just like Irving was saying, that he lives in an apartment and everyone hates one another. I've been in that same spot where we'll be getting along with the front neighbors like that are next to us, but then the ones that live downstairs, whatever, they be complaining constantly, causing troubles. Like there's no need for that. There's no need to go ahead and be that mean or cruel, or like there's no reason for that. I feel like in a way we were raised to be good, but then you see all these things going around your community and it just changes your view, and you're just stuck like, well, I don't know what's right or wrong. So anyone have any stories they like to share around?
Well, I kind of want to know what's going on with you.
Yeah, sure. There's, I forgot to mention earlier about like the good side of community. There's volunteer work with all different types, with beach cleanups, feeding the homeless. I've firsthand have done some volunteering myself, and there are a lot of good people out there that really do want to help make a difference and change this fucked up system. But I want to talk about gentrification with not only my workplace but in my home. I'm going to start with my work. I am currently working for this place, this company, for members only, and it's called Soho House & Co. There was a recent brand new location in Malibu, and I've firsthand experienced exploitation. There's a lot of power abuse that's going on currently with a lot of the general managers, them drinking on the job instead of actually making sure that all of the staff workers are okay physically, because this is a restaurant bar, fine dining. So a lot of the work that we do requires us to be on our feet often. And on last Thursday was a grand opening, and I didn't leave the restaurant till 2:30 a.m. in the morning. And I had worked, I had gone in at 2, or at 1:30, I believe. It was ridiculous. But what's going on right now, there's a protest happening for their expansion, and their expansion is going to take place in downtown LA. What that's going to do is they're going to kick out a lot of the people that are currently living there, which are a lot of poor communities of color. And that is very sad. And because, I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day about it, and as I was trying to explain to him what's going on, one of my other privileged coworkers kind of butted into the conversation, and I explained what the protest was about, and somebody lied to her and told her that they were protesting about the school district, and the school was nowhere near there. And I had to re-explain to her what's really going on. And she pretty much just said, get over it. This is not just happening to people of color and poor people. This is happening to everybody. And that came from a very privileged perspective, because that clearly proved that she's never been discriminated against. She's never been poor. She's not really from LA. And, you know, my coworker and I looked at each other and we couldn't believe that she said that. We were very shocked. So now I want to talk about what's going on, what I'm currently going through at home with my mother. We just recently, I helped her move into Mid-City, this duplex in Mid-City, and it's gorgeous, you know, like my mom has her garden fixed and everything. It's beautiful, but what's happening is the previous owner sold the property to a house flipper. And we had no idea that he was a house flipper until after he tried to flip our house. He's currently trying to flip it, actually. And he's trying to sell the property for hundreds and thousands of dollars. And he made it seem that at first, when we first introduced each other, or he introduced himself to us, that we were going to stay at this house. But we ended up being fooled, because now he's trying to sell it for hundreds and thousands of dollars, and we might get kicked out in that process. And this is gentrification. This is what's going on with my experiences, and it's a huge problem because it's happening all over Los Angeles. And I feel like it's very important to talk about it and to shine the light on it, and to and to really come up with solutions for the problem. But I want to pass this stick to anyone that wants to say anything else.
All right, I got the talking stick. The way I feel towards that is, it's kind of like what I was saying in the beginning. Like, everyone gets the different views, and everyone could be born and raised in a proper way, with respect and stuff like that. But once they're out in the real world, they would see things being handled differently. What's the cause of that? I don't know how people react to that. I don't know what causes them to act differently. But that's one thing that is going on with the community. They need to be able to be allowed to express the way they want to express. They should be able to hang out with people they gotta hang out. There shouldn't be any boundaries. There shouldn't be any I guess you can say discrimination. There shouldn't be anything like that. It should always be love and respect, regardless. The stuff with that would be that they really there's really something besides whatever the cause. There's a bigger reason behind that we are not looking at. We're not even paying attention. It's something that we don't even know it's a big deal until it becomes a big deal. So anyone else would like to get their 2 cents in opinion about this? Miguel?
One of the problems that we're talking about here is, I would like to go refer to what Jesus said about basically of how people, how the kids are these days, that they're just some I'm not speaking about all kids, but some are ungrateful and some are. Some just get things handed to them, either they have bad grades, even though they do better in school, they do drugs. Maybe some of you guys have seen this by experience. I know I have. Some just work their asses off, and they can't get the stuff because their parents are struggling, and that's most of the problems around here that I seen, and over there where I come from too is where I seen. And there's just violence. Kids see movies too, they see gang movies, and when the movie's over, they go out thinking they're gangsters. They do drugs. They try to act like they're from gangs. They start problems. They just throw up random things, and they don't even know what they're doing, what they're involved in. until when somebody gets hurt at the end of the day, and then they realize what they do. Would anyone else like to talk?
Hey guys, so my name is Marlene Lopez, and I'm just gonna jump on into this conversation because Sandra's story was pretty powerful. Gentrification in Los Angeles is no joke. It is absolutely devastating so many communities. I'm originally from MacArthur Park, downtown LA, whoop whoop, and I've been noticing that all these condominiums have been coming into our neighborhoods. They drive up the price of rent. And the problem is that where do all the people who used to live there go, right? They end up going and not having any neighborhoods that have rent control. They have to move farther away from the places that they've established themselves. And I think that so often we hear the word gentrification and we don't really have a clear example of what that means. So I think that's why Sandra's story is so important, because we need clear examples of how this movement is impacting the daily lives of us in Los Angeles, and I think it's a shame. So I'm gonna pass over this talking stick to Jesus.
So what you just said about that was like for like the example, like they, in a way, I feel they have to, like, the person on top has to put the example for everyone else, because the way I was saying it was that everyone's taking their own view. Like everyone's being raised like a certain manner, and when they're out in the real world, they would pick up something else. So the thing is, people have to be able to view it in the right place. They have to be taken to the right path, like the right route. It's all about, for me, it's all about example. Like if you don't have a good example, and you're not saying a good example to someone, how do you expect them to grow up and be a better person? All these problems are mainly just, like I said, there's rarely any respect, there's rarely any love, and the example people are putting in. So it's just a matter of fact that everyone has to be able to stop and take a look around and be, where am I at? What am I doing? Like, the whole point is to get people involved and get them to just help out one another. Like, it's all about setting a good example. It's all about having respect for one another. So I'll pass the talking stick to Irving.
Okay, we'll have two comments on her story. The first part is that I guess I see where she's getting at. We're just talking about how it's like messed up, how they're like kicking people out because they can't afford it. But I think she has to understand that's how companies work too. Like, even if it's bad or not, like it's just the way a company is run. And like, I'm sorry that it's unfortunate for them that they can't live there anymore. But things happen. It's just the way. Especially if you live in LA, like, you should expect that too. And I think when you okay, so Miguel was talking about how the community and like the neighborhood, and we were talking about that topic. And anyways, I was saying that, like, for some reason neighbors don't like each other. Well, in my perspective, not a lot of neighbors in my apartment, just don't like each other, and they only care about themselves. Like, they're very like selfish. But is that a bad thing? That's the question that I want to ask you guys.
Passing over the talking stick to me. That's a really good question, and I really like that question. Well, first of all, I do want to comment also on what you said. You said, well, Sandra needs to understand that that's how companies run. I'm like, but they only run that way because we haven't taken the time to look and see what they're doing and regulated them. Because companies don't have to run this way in order to be profitable. You don't have to take human lives or destroy communities to be profitable. And they got us thinking that whatever they do is totally okay. It's all in the name of profit. But there's a line, and we need to start drawing that line. And number two, yeah, you live in LA and you should expect it. But the thing is that LA, before it's a company-run place, it's a place of diversity. It's been a haven for immigrants forever. And what we expect when people come to LA, like my parents who came from Guatemala, what they expect is to find a community in which they can find
people like them, people who are trying to live the dream. You know, they don't expect corporations to come in and take away that dream. And third ting, I said ting.
Ting.
ting, ting.
Team.
The next thing I want to say is like neighbors liking each other. Is it good or bad? Do they even need to like each other? I don't think we have to like love each other. Like, oh my God, like, you know, marry my daughter, like come over to my house every night. But I do think that when we come together, we can do greater things to help our community and become healthier people. So I think it's extremely important to get to know each other and at least have some type of like understanding of each other or compassion towards each other. With that, here's the stick. Jesus.
From what you said was that they don't have to, but the fact is, it's actually right. Like you don't have to love someone. You don't have to respect someone. You don't have to do anything. It just has to come out of your heart. It has to, like, you have to be passionate about it. It's true. Like some people be like, you know, I don't love this person. I don't like this person, and it's alright. That's you. No one can make you do anything. No one can make you feel any way. If it has to be done, it has to be done. And sometimes I feel people will take that the wrong way, but honestly, that's the way it is. They have to take a look and be like, well, I was raised this way, so this is what's right. But then other people be like, well, why don't you try the other way around? Maybe you'll get a different result. But the whole thing is just like you're your own person. You have, like I say sometimes, like you have the control to your life. You have the remote control to your life. You can do whatever you want to do. You can say whatever you want to say. You can, like, there's no limits for you. So like back to what you were saying, like, they don't have to, but they have to learn how to be able to do it. It has to be able to come out from your heart, from deep inside. It has to come out. You can't just. It's really hard to force things on people. And to what Irving was saying about the whole company stuff like that, I feel like it kind of goes the same way, because it's a company, it's a business. They have to make money regardless, but it's not that they want to, but that they have to in a way. And I know how people can take it the wrong way, they take it bad way, whatever, but they have to be able to reflect on the good and bad. And maybe it's bad, but it's for a good reason. Maybe something else will come along and fix the problem or whatever. Like it's vice versa. So that's my take on it. I will pass the talking stick to Irving.
I actually think that the question I was trying to ask was, is it a bad thing to be selfish? Is it a bad thing to only want to improve yourself? And yeah, I guess I'll pass it back to you.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think relating back to our topic of community, can you be selfish and still feel like you're in a community? Is that what you kind of meant? Or
oh no, I meant like, is it a bad thing to only care about yourself, to only try to improve yourself and not help anybody else?
Right. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's really important to take care of yourself. And before you can take care of anything or help your environment, you have to take care of yourself. And oftentimes that is the greatest challenge. I think you can take care of yourself, you can be selfish, but if you're healing yourself, it will naturally start spreading out into your community. So it's both. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, I'm selfish, I'm taking care of myself, I don't have to be part of a community, or I have to give up myself and not be selfish and be part of a community. Like, being part of a community is being yourself within that space. So yeah, of course you can be selfish and take care of yourself, but you can still be part of a community while doing that. So it's not necessarily bad, I think. Jesus?
From that, I would say, it's, from my point of view, it's alright to be like, I guess you can say like selfish, but the way I see it is I rather put my family first, then I'll put myself second, and then everyone else afterwards, because there's a different way people would view the selfness, like whatever. But the thing is, you have to be able to care for someone else regarding yourself. I feel like if you put yourself in front of everything, be like, I care about me, myself, and I. That's it. Then that right there is like selfishness. Like you have to be able to care for the people that gave you life, brought you in the world, and in a way you're paying respect to them as well. Putting them on top of the whole list, like above everything else, that should be like the main point. Like put your family on top, put yourself second. You can put your friends after that, or neighbors, whatever, but after yourself it should be everything else. You could definitely help out like yourself while you're helping out your parents or helping other people, but for me, you have the main goal, for the main point would be whoever's on top, you have to give them your full 100%, care for them like they would care for you, and so on. And that way you're setting that example to everyone else. Everyone will be viewing that, and they will be like, okay, you know, that's a good route to take. I'll pass the talking stick to Miguel.
I want to refer to something you said there about being selfishness. Well, it's not good to be selfish because bad things come along when you are. And like Jesus said, it's better to put your family in front before than you, because they've been watching over you longer, especially your parents. They change your diapers, they put food on the table, they put clothes on your back. It's good to treat them right, treat others like how you want to be treated. And I'll pass the stick to
me,
Marlene,
because Irving just passed on the talking stick.
That's
I have
fine.
nothing to say. I'm sorry.
Get to figure
Okay,
out.
well, I just think it's really interesting. We have two very different perspectives here. Someone that's for selfishness, and someone that says absolutely not.
Right. We all have different views. So.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But what's interesting though is that even though you both are against, or you are opposite ends of selfishness, you guys both agree that sometimes companies gotta do what they gotta do and destroy communities, which I find fascinating. So if you put your families first, though, I ask you, Jesus, what if that was your family that was going to get kicked out of their building and their entire lives were uprooted and you were forced to move to a completely different city? What would you say then?
It'll still be like, I guess it will be in a way where you have to adapt to different environment, but at the same time you have to adapt to different situation. If it was them being evicted, I mean, obviously I would feel bad, but I'll do whatever is possible to make it better for them. Obviously the things happen for a reason, so from my point of view, I would do, if they were getting kicked out, okay, you know what, it has to be done. There wouldn't be no solution to it. Otherwise, if they weren't to get like kicked out, then there'll be something else going on. But if they're being kicked out, it has to be done. I have been in that situation where actually my family were like, they were told to get, like, they have to get out. They had like a certain time to get out, and we did struggle. It's hard. I could see how hard it is, but good things are always going to come as long as you're doing, I think I would say, like, good deeds. Like, so regarding that, like I said, there's a reason why things happen. Maybe it's good for the better, but it's never going to be for the worse as long as you are a good person. And like I'm saying, I would feel bad, but it's all due a matter of time that something good will come along their way. For instance, maybe nothing comes out, but I mean, you never know unless you actually go out and try it out. Like,
Should ask that question of each of us. Like, what if you were in that situation?
yeah. So, Miguel, how would you feel if you were in that situation, if your family was being evicted?
If my family were to be evicted, I would look for where to get a job, no matter how young I am. But I would still try to look for someone that needs help on something, get paid, try to help them out. Try to put in work in my house. Just help out a lot of other people that are getting evicted too. Not just my family, but like neighbors, like people and all that. And what would you do?
Okay, so you passed the talking stick to me. So are we implying that I'm getting kicked out for sure? Or this is going to happen?
You're going to get kicked out by the Soho house.
Okay, so first I would just move on and accept it. Just move and accept it. I would, rather than getting upset, I think I would rather just find a place to go. Because it doesn't mean I'm getting kicked out of LA. It just means I'm getting kicked out of where I live.
Yes.
So I just go find a better place. Or not a better, but just like a different apartment, just to live. Because why am I going to get mad if I know there's nothing I can do to control it? If I'm getting kicked out, I'm getting kicked out. Like, why would I fight it and start, like, protesting if I could just move? So I'm going to pass it on again to you.
Okay. So I heard something that kind of built your arguments, which was there's nothing I can do about it, so let's make the best out of it, right? And that's true. If it was in a situation where you genuinely can't do anything about it, of course you make the best out of it. But here's the thing. There are things we can do. We can join together and we can fight together. And there are ways in which if everyone united in the community, we could stop, and we have stopped, giant corporations coming in and destroying our communities. Like in Chinatown, when they tried to build like a Walmart there and everybody came together, which would have displaced so many people, the Chinatown people came together and they fought it and they stopped it from arriving. So the thing is that when do we put our foot down and say enough is enough? You're going to come here, you're going to disrupt our lives. Like if our lives aren't worth respect, like if I don't choose to move, why should someone else force me to move? I'm sorry, like that's not right. Like to me it's not right. And that honestly surprises me how much we let corporations get away with. Like, why do we just think that it has to happen? And why can't we stand up for our communities against these corporations that are uprooting us and not respecting our lives? I guess that's the question I would like to ask, is why do we feel like corporations can do whatever they want without thinking about the human costs, especially to our communities?
I feel like
here's a talking stick. Sorry.
I feel towards that, like they have to before they even decide to evacuate people like that, they have to consider a second option. I feel for them, the first thing to do, the easiest thing to do, okay, you know what, let's just evict these people out of their houses, out of their housings. Like, it's problem solved. That's all they care about. It's like, you know what, it doesn't even matter. It's like price of rent's just like low. Let's just get rid of that. They're not making a lot of money. And the thing about that is they're I wouldn't say that there are other options, but there could be other options. There could be like 2, 3, 4 options. Like they could take different routes, but the first thing that comes into their head is, you know what, let's get rid of this area. Whoever's living here will be done. It's fine. We'll make more money on the building or office we put in. Like it'll be okay for them. It's just about profit. They will see, like, you know what, get rid of this. We'll make twice, triple times the amount, and that's it. So they just have to be able to look at it the other way around. Always think about the people. Think about what they're going through. Maybe this place is good for them. Maybe this is where they want to stay forever. They have to be able to think outside the box and be like, okay, you know what?Maybe let's discuss it with them. Let's see if it's okay with them, if they would like to move out. And I feel if that would be their first option, they will have to at least accommodate them and be like, you know what, we'll pay for housing, like, well, wherever you guys gotta live, we'll pay for that. I mean, because regardless, they're gonna be making like a lot more money if they take them out or not. So if they do that, I feel they should have to have like a good solution for them. And if they go straight to that option, they have to at least consider the other options. Like I said, they have to be able to think outside the box and be like, what could go wrong, what could go bad. Like they have to be able to at least think, because I feel they don't do that at all. They just go ahead and just react on the first thing, and that's I guess that's fine for them, but for us, where does that leave us at? Like, we're just stuck with our arms crossed and be like, well, fuck it, okay, that's. So I'll pass it on. I'll pass the talking stick to Irving.
Yeah. Okay, so back to what you were saying. I know that they don't care about the citizens. Like, I know they just don't care. And they usually do what's best for the company, but that's the thing. Like, no matter what, if they don't do it here, they're going to do it somewhere else. And so I guess that's all I have to say.
Okay. So, well, I want to move on to solutions now because I don't want to get stuck on the problems.
Okay.
Right.
But I also want to say...
Go ahead.
Can I say one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
We always say, well, whatever, we'll just move. But isn't that speaking from a place of privilege? Like, we say, well, whatever, we can go out, we can find another apartments. But there's some people who it's not that easy for them to move, you know? And that's the hard part, is that some people struggle to even they've been living in a certain place for years and years, and then, you know, then they're forced to move and they don't even know how to begin to go about it. And even if they did pay the people to move out, when you break up communities, you're not only breaking up communities, you're destroying cultures. And I doubt that they would like to see that happen to their communities that they've had together for like decades. They would never want to destroy their communities because they want to keep that culture there, you know? So it's cultural destruction too, I feel. Anyways, so it's pretty dark now.
Can I add just one little quote?
Yes, go ahead.
I just honestly just think that change is inevitable, and that's all I have to say.
I guess.
You want?
Nah, I'm good. I don't have it.
Okay, so change is inevitable. So let's talk about change, and let's talk about change in the positive, right? So we've talked about some of the problems in our neighborhoods, right? We've all identified some of the problems.
Right.
So let's talk about some of the possible solutions to some of these problems. Would you like to top us off, Jesus?
Sure.
What?
So I guess. So
can we just acknowledge that Irving just left the room?
I guess he got mad at the subject. That's
He
fine.
took it personal.
No. He's laughing. I don't know why he's laughing for.
I don't see no one laughing. We're just laughing.
Xavier's laughing. Okay. All right, I'm back.
Okay. All right. So I'm lost right now. But whatever. All right. So now to end this off, we'll go to the section called Dare to Dream. So if we lived in a perfect world, how will you solve some of the problems we identified today? I'd like to pass the talking stick to Miguel. We lived in a perfect world. Oh. If we lived in a perfect world, how will you solve some of these problems we identified today?
If I were to live in a perfect world, I would identify my problems by if I see like a bum, give him like money, but not for drugs, for food. Or if not, if I don't give him money, I buy the food for him and give it to him for I make sure he won't waste it on drugs. And if I see someone doing drugs, like tell him do it somewhere else, not in front of kids. And like Sandra said about her job, that's kind of messed up, but things happen. And what we could do is to fight that is like refer it to someone like big, like tell someone about the type of shoes, like she referred about the shoes they're wearing. One of her co-workers almost slipped. They get blisters, their feet are always pounding, and that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say for now.
Go ahead, Irving.
Okay, well, I will obviously live in a world where poverty is not a thing. I would want to live in a world like that because that would solve all the homeless problems and all the like the commercials of all the African kids in Africa. It's no more commercials. More like cats and stuff dying. Okay, anyways.
Oh, that's cute.
And I would want to live in a world where people are allowed to move up in the world, like the way it is in America, just a little bit less corrupt. Where if you want to be a doctor, you obviously get paid more, but it's not like that here. So I think I'd. Because I'd have a lot to say. I guess I didn't have enough time, but we'll go like another round.
We could do 2 rounds.
We'll go ahead.
Yeah, we'll do 2 rounds.
Okay,
I would just pass it on.
I guess the first thing I would do to help my community is just do healing things, because what we're going through right now is we're pretty all emotionally kind of fucked up and psychologically distraught. And that's kind of why we even started this podcast, right? It's to start talking about that. But I would honestly set up more gardens all around the city. I would create wandering gardens, which means like they have the really big plants where people can walk through. And it's actually been proven that if you put elderly people through wandering gardens, that they come out needing less medication, they have less levels of stress, lower blood pressure. So I would definitely start trying to implement some of our culture into some of these solutions, because if you think about cultura, if you think about what our ancestors were doing, kind of take a page from their book and learn about their lifestyle and the way they were self-sustainable, and then try to implement it here in Los Angeles. Get everybody a garden, get everybody planting some shit basically around Finley, right? Get them going. So passing this over to the man. Jesus. So
if we lived in a perfect world, the way I would solve like the problems we came across, I mean, just for me, I would just say just being yourself. Just do what you feel is right, whatever comes from your heart. Don't feel like you have to, like you're forced to do something. Like, do what you feel is right. If you, like Miguel said, like if there's a bum, he'll give them money, or if not, he'll buy them the food. Just make sure you're doing that from like I said, from your heart. Like it's coming out of you. Like you feel like you have to, like you want to do it. Don't feel like you have to do it. Like I said, no one's being forced to do anything. So all these problems that we came across, the only way I would say to solve these problems would be just be yourself. Don't be no one else, because who could be you but you? Like, there's no one like that. You can try to imitate someone, but no one is original. Like everyone's original, so you can't go ahead and be someone else that you're not. It won't make any sense. You won't feel good about doing stuff because what will happen if someone comes along and is like, oh, you're trying to be like this person? Like, be yourself. Be recognized for what you're doing, like for all the good you're benefiting. Like, so I'll pass the talking stick to
Miguel.
Anything else you want to
add? Nah, that'd be all for me. I'll pass it to
Irving.
Yeah. Oh, I have a question actually for Jesus.
Oh, really?
Do you have another topic after this? Like, so this is the last part?
This will be the last.
Okay, well, I have a question, because you were talking about like feeding the homeless and stuff. So I actually want to ask a different question. So I have a friend who, would always give money to homeless people. If not $1, it's like cents or something. And this one time he gave him a sweater. And I was very happy for him, because I was like, that's the nicest thing I've ever seen anybody do, like in front of me. But he asked me if I would do the same thing, and I said no. And I want to know, like, do you guys give people, like homeless people, money? If you do, why and why not?
Great.
Oh, passed the wrong thing.
That's right.
I absolutely always try to give some money or anything I can to a homeless person I see. Not because I'm trying to solve poverty, or not because I'm trying to make that person's life better. I mean, like directly with money, but sometimes homeless people just need acknowledgement. They just need to know that people see them as human beings and that they're being seen. And when you give that to a person, it means the world to them. Sometimes I've had beautiful conversations with homeless people. They immediately open up and they tell me that they're from this place and what's your name. And it's just about acknowledging other human beings. It's not even about the money so much. and yeah, it's just it's just a really nice thing to do for people. So absolutely, I do. What about you, Jesus?
So to actually bring it back, so the question was, would I give?
Oh, do you give homeless people money? Why?
So I'll be honest, I don't give homeless money. I feel that from my point of view, I feel like they need to prove that they need the money, because some people I've heard stories where people be like dressed up like as a homeless supposedly, and they be getting money. Then next day you see them like in the bus all fancy, like the same person, and apparently they're just making money out of that. They're basically just trying to get an easy job. So for me, I wouldn't say I wouldn't give, but I haven't given any money to any homeless, because that's my point of view. That's how I feel. When I see someone, I can see when someone's like struggling, because I mean I've been there and stuff like that. So when I see that, I will give them money. I'll go out of my way and I'll give them something. Whatever I have like on me, I will give that person the amount. But overall, at this point I haven't given anyone money. It's not that I don't want to, but it's just like the way I see it. Because like I said, they also, like, you can also give them money, but they'll go ahead and buy drugs or alcohol, stuff like that, and they're just back to square one. And I've seen a couple of videos online where, you know, instead of people actually giving them money, there was actually one where the guy was giving them like a lotto ticket, and he went in to cash it in. It was like, I think 500 or 1,000, and the homeless was actually even giving money back to the guy. But that's not what it's about. It's about just us giving back to them. Some will actually appreciate it and some won't, and the ones that do appreciate, they just break down. They're just really glad and happy. They're blessed that they had this come to their way. So when that comes along, then I will definitely know when to actually give the money. Pass the talking stick to Miguel.
That's all right. All right, so one thing I wanted to say is go check out Woody Phantom TV. Subscribe for more of these, and for you guys could be updated with what we're saying. And that'd be all.
How dare you promote in the middle of this conversation?
Yeah.
Hey, well, don't hate.
What I was gonna say is that it's hard to tell how they actually got there. You know, this is why I don't really like to give money, because what if they're there because of their drug problems or because of their drinking problems, and instead of like helping them, we're just giving them money to keep getting the drugs. So, I mean, yeah, you see people who look like they deserve the money, who need like a shelter, need a place, and they're good people, but you can't distinguish that by look. You have to actually talk to them. So, I guess I'm more cautious of who I like spend time with and who I give money to. So that's why I don't give money to the homeless people.
Okay, so this is what I'm gonna say. Okay, so we're talking a lot about these swindler homeless people, and we've heard a lot of things on the media, like this homeless person was caught, like they actually have a job and they've been asking money off the 10 East or whatever. But in reality, when you look at the homeless situation, that's such a rare case. And so even if 1 out of 100 is a swindler, does that really matter? Because honestly, you can help 99 people. I mean, that's pretty darn good in my book. And another thing I want to mention, if I give a homeless person $1 and that ends up going to him buying a 40 or buying some weed, honestly, I don't mind. Here's the reason why I don't mind. Because homeless people, a lot of them suffer with mental illness, the vast majority. And we don't take care of our homeless, like, we don't take care of the homeless or the mentally ill. So oftentimes these guys, they probably should be in like mental institutions or being helped in some, you know, actual way, but they're not getting that help. So we give them drugs. But many of them can't even afford to go to drugs or to get the medicated drugs. So, and it's hard for them because if you have schizophrenia, it's hard for you to like get your prescriptions together and get all your things together and your insurance together and then fight with the pharmacy. It's way easier to just go to the corner and get yourself like some weed. So I really don't mind if I had a life, if I was homeless and I was going through something, I would definitely... Yeah, I might smoke weed. I might drink a 40 if that eases my pain. And I don't mind my money going to that sometimes. That's totally fine with me. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I actually have something to say to that. The fact that I feel I here, take your cup. What's going? You guys good?
Yeah. No.
All right. Guess we're just moving around. The fact that
We can make this the final round for
right.
this.
The thing about this is that the people that like actually abuse that are actually giving a bad rep to everyone else, and that makes everyone else be like, you know what, I'm actually here trying to get money, but people don't see it that way. They go ahead and be like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna give this person money. Then they find out that they were lying. They want to go get something else or something like that, and it's like, okay, you know what, I'm not gonna go ahead and give people money more because what if everyone's the same? That's what people get in their perspective. They go ahead and view it differently, and they're just like, oh, all right, that might as well. But for me, it's like the way I feel. They gotta feel like I feel like they gotta earn it somehow. And I see some people with their signs saying like, you know what, I'll work for money. I'll do this and that. Like, okay, that's have them actually work for the money because they can't apply it anywhere else because they're not going to hire them. Might as well just give them like a couple hours and you just give them whatever you feel fits them. But yeah, overall, that's all I gotta say to that. That's it.
So remember I told you guys about this YouTube channel? I told you about Woody's Phantom TV. Subscribe to there. Uncanny Comedy. Subscribe to that one too.
I hear they suck.
And
hey, you better watch your mouth, man.
Funny ass shit.
I doubt it.
And
Donald Trump supporter.
I like one quick last thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
you were
go
talking
ahead.
about the homeless people and how they deserved it. I seriously I pictured like homeless people on like the Hunger Games and stuff, like having them on districts. But
That's so
having them
funny.
fight for it. I'm sorry, it's just
that actually brings up a point where like back in high school, like we'll have these like quarter fights and people will throw a quarter and they're actually fighting for it.
What?
Like for a quarter?
Yeah, for a quarter, they'll all jump in,
That's
they'll
horrible.
beat one another, like
That's
they'll come out with
horrible.
scratches,
Yeah,
and
we still have that at my
and they
school.
get out and they're just like,
Oh,
yeah, I got a quarter.
Jesus.
Like,
We have that at my
Why
school.
not more money? Why not like $1?
I think I was about to
Us
drop.
kids are broke these days.
I mean, I
Yeah,
felt,
but-
no,
Well, because less money is more demeaning.
I you know that
Yeah, that's true.
Let's be freaking honest.
I was,
Yeah, just throw a penny in there.
Well,
I was like,
there was actually this kid that he was about to drop like a 20, and they were all gonna go crazy over it. But then like there was like a big chaos, and we had to like hide him. He was like 4 feet tall, so it was good. We could hit him anywhere, but
hell no. Start a rumble for $20?
yeah, who wouldn't do that? Come on.
Yeah, I would fight for $20.
I would fight. for
Even
that,
if
too.
it like bodybuilders, I would still swing. You know, I know I would get
Yeah.
beat up. But.
I was just grab it and leave.
Just
That's
grab
it.
it, put it in your sock, and hide.
Oh, okay. What was the last thing? Oh, I'm kind of done.
Okay.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I just
All
want
right.
to talk about the homeless Hunger Games.
That's okay.
No homeless
It's
Hunger
called the Starving
Games.
Game.
No, it's a good movie.
Give money
be
to
a
homeless
short film.
people.
It's a starving game.
It's a good
You guys ever seen
thing.
it? You ever seen it?
And yeah, so this is our first podcast, and we're gonna continue doing these. We're gonna keep on hashing out really important issues together. So come and listen, and yeah, comment. Bye.
You can find a lot more of this, and like Miguel said, Woody Phantom TV, Uncanny Comedy, and make sure to subscribe and like all these podcasts. They will be posted up under the YouTube channel, Phantom Podcast, and make sure to check out the fan page, SoundCloud, and everything else.
All right. Have a nice day, LA.